Hey guys, it's Function Friday today, and today we're going to use a few functions to build a pretty cool use case around comments. So we're going to use today the table function, the concat function. We'll use some collection functions like collect, remove, and we'll also use the clear function. So stay tuned. Welcome back. My name is Brian Knight from Pragmatic Works, and today it's Function Friday. So we're going to use quite a few functions today to kind of do an interesting use case around filling out a comments box. So let's jump into it. All right. So as you can see right here, I've got a well-check application where I can search for a patient of some sort, like Richard Bush, for example. I can do a new assessment, and the challenge we had was people were entering in their comments and they were like entering the same comments in over and over and over again. So we wanted to find an easy way where our nurses could just check some boxes of common use cases and then add their own comments at the end of that. So to accomplish this business challenge, we're going to create a collection, maybe some check boxes to go ahead and check the most common use cases, like I changed the patient's clothes, I went ahead and checked their temperature, or whatever that might be. After I check the options, we'll populate a collection from those options, and then we'll populate this comments box with a comma-separated list. After that, they can choose if they want to add more or manipulate that if they want to, but this will get them started at least with the common use cases that they have. So let's start. There's a few ways we can do this. We can do this through a drop-down box like you're seeing right here. Or in our case, we're going to go ahead and use some check boxes instead. So to kind of create this checkbox list, I'm just going to drop in a quick blank gallery. There we go, just like this. All right. And I'll go ahead and size this accordingly. It's going to go right here. All right. And we'll make that gallery white, just so it kind of stands out a little more in the application and it hides my other stuff in the background. And you'll notice when we select the first row, it's a little too big. So let's go ahead and shrink that down. And then we're going to create for our items property. Normally we point this to a table or we point to a collection. We're going to use one of the functions that I like using a lot for these simple drop-down boxes, and that's a table function. So the table function allows us to create a simple item. Go ahead and zoom in a little closer here so you guys can see this. Looks like this. So I can create an ad hoc list of items. So in my case, I'll create one called outcome. And this is the outcome of what the nurse is doing with this patient. Maybe we'll do something like bathroom assist. This is a caregiver, so this would be a nurse coming in to assist an elderly patient. So they can do a bathroom assist. They can do something like change clothes. All right, so notice every row you're seeing here has curly braces around it. The double quotes mean I want to literally say this. Outcome is my column name, and you'll see comma separating each one with curly braces representing each row. So if I select table, we can see so far that I have a two-row table called outcome. This is why I like it for drop-down boxes where I have a yes-no drop-down box, or simple things where I don't want to have to create a table or a collection for it. I might also want to let's create maybe two more rows here. How about we do, let me go 1, 2. I'm going to go ahead when I go inside this. All right, kind of scoot over here. We need comma separating it. We'll go ahead and I think I've got, yep, looks pretty good. Let's do, we have bathroom assist. How about we do help with feeding? And how about we go ahead and create one more like technical assistance, something like that. Or how would I say bathed patient? Okay, so pretty common use cases for an elderly assistant here. And as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just confirm. I go to tables. We can see we have our 4 rows here. That should be good enough for some check boxes in our case. All right. So meanwhile, back in our gallery, you'll see our gallery has a table in the items property. And we want to go ahead and create a checkbox in those. So make sure you have the first row selected. We'll go insert, input, and checkbox. There we go. So we're seeing 4 rows here now. And once we have those 4 rows, let me go ahead and kind of get that just the way I want it. I'll go ahead and stretch that out. All right, there we go. And for our option, we'll say this item dot, and there's our outcome column from the table. So when I select that, there we go. So now we're seeing our 4 rows. Let me get rid of my face here so you can see these a little better here. So you're seeing our 4 rows, and of course we can go ahead and increase the size of it or shrink it. It's a little bit more wiggle room than we want, probably on a per row basis here. So we can go ahead and shrink that down if we wanted to. There we go. And then also shrink the whole row. So that should fit better into a given row now, I'd imagine. There we go, something like that. So we're fitting all of our 4 rows pretty easily now. And of course we can create a little, space between these 2 galleries up top here. All right, good enough. All right, so with that now done, I want to be able to check each of these and have it automatically fill our area on the right here. So to do that, I'm going to create a collection. So for every time you check a box here, it's going to add that item to the collection. So to do that, we'll go ahead and change the onCheck property. So let's go over here again, and we'll look for the onCheck property. There we go, onCheck. And we'll use the collect function. Now the collection function, there's a few of these collection functions you'll find. Collect will add into a local memory, basically, a table. It's going to create a table in memory that we can then use and play with. Collect is going to add more rows to it. There's also a clear collect, which wipe and load the collection each time. You can use it for a singleton action, where we're checking singleton fields like this, or we can say, let's put the whole table into the collection also. There's a whole bunch more with collections. I have a whole video dedicated to collections, but this is kind of a neat use case, so we'll call this collection, how do we call it? Call assessor comments. I already had that collection created down below, so we'll go ahead and keep that. So if the collection has not been created, it will go ahead and create it at this point. If it is created, it's going to add a row to it. Now the row we want added is this item. This item always refers to the row inside the gallery. And whatever columns I have there, in this case 1 column, it's going to add that to the collection. Now likewise, we're going to do the same thing if you uncheck the column. So if you uncheck it, I want to remove it from the collection. So I'll type in remove, all right, from that collection name, comma, this item. So it's doing the exact opposite now. If you check it, it throws it in there. If you uncheck it, it takes it out. Pretty simple, right? So if I go through and I check a few of these 2 right here, we can test this out by going to View and Collections, and we'll see we have these 2 items now in our collection called Call Assessor Comments. Perfect. Now you may also want to know that if I uncheck this, like how do I know for sure that the item is actually picked in here? So one way we can kind of default whether it's checked or not, if we want to say, hey, is it in this collection or not? Like, let's imagine something else sets that value as well. We could go through and let's see here where it is, the default value, there we go, of this will be either true or false, checked or unchecked. So what we could do is we could do something like, hey, if this item, the row I'm looking at, is in the collection, then go ahead and make it true. Okay, so we'll see if this, okay, there we go. There we go. So in other words, I'm not on the actual check, that's a problem. All right, if you uncheck, you have the actual checkbox selected, I had the whole cell selected, and then we'll go back to our default property, and I'll go ahead and paste that in. Right now it's false. So if I paste it in, now we can see, all right, if the row I'm looking at is already in the collection, then go ahead and check this. Otherwise, make it false. Uncheck it. So that's a nice little one you can use. So if something else is setting the value outside of this checkbox, or if I leave the screen and come back, all the items will be checked appropriately based on if they're in the collection or not. That's an optional step you can do just to kind of prevent future bugs as you kind of grow this application. Our last step, we want to go ahead and populate this comments box. So for our default value of the comments box, make sure you unlock it. If you haven't, you can right click and unlock it. And for this comments box, I'm going to use the concat function. And the concat function is going to take this table that you saw under collections, with 1 row in it right now, or 2 rows, this 1 row. Go ahead and check a few more columns here. There we go. So it's going to take these 2 rows that you're seeing right here and flip it on its side. And it's going to flatten it. So it's going to convert my table into a 1 row basically. And it's going to append a comma, for example, or whatever I wish, between each row. So let's go ahead and select this comments, And for my default property, I'm going to go and type the concat function. Okay. There is a concatenate function, but that's more for appending first name plus last name. We want the concat function. And what we want to do is we'll take the call assessor, the table in other words. Okay, so this is a collection, but it could easily be a table or a column, a collection. And then I'll do a comma. Which column do we want to base this on? I want to base this on the outcome column. Okay, so far so good. Let me zoom in so you guys can see this. So take the outcome column, and for every row in that outcome column, go ahead and append in a comma and a space. And I'll do another a double quote there. All right, so for every comma here, so every row that it finds, it's going to do a comma, a space, next row until it hits the end of rows. So you're seeing right here what's going to happen. Bathroom assist, change clothes, and there it is. So let's play our application, see how it works now. All right, so if I uncheck it, there it goes, it disappears. Check it, there it goes, it's there. I can also go through and say patient fell and add my own stuff here. A few notes here. If I uncheck this, it's going to go ahead and run the default code again and basically wipe out my comments, which you may or may not want. So I'll do a comma, whatever else I want. But this at least allows the nurse to go through and enter some quick comments without having to go and write all this word on a tablet, no less. Be able to knock this out very, very quickly and standardize common codes that you might have. So you might use this for classification of certain kinds of visits, to do things really, really quickly, to take something that is less freeform, to make it more freeform on the right. All right, this is our first video in Function Friday. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to do more like this where we just highlight a few functions each week. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great day.